Welcome back, Tom. A little bit of a smoother opening today than yesterday. I was able to line up all the pieces, and perhaps that'll portend better for us. And then we got day one off to a start. Couple of quick observations about Royal Ascot for me, just from a spectator standpoint. I don't, as I mentioned, do a lot of international horse racing betting, but I found myself relying a heck of a lot more on the track announcer in these first four races at the Ascot today that I watched than any of the races that I watch at home. The way that they start, the fact that their silks or their aprons are not all different colors. Clearly, the announcer relies on the silks and the hats, whereas here I'm relying on post position and I'm relying on the aprons to tell where my horses are at. I could not do that today. Do you find that to be the same for you, Tom, or are you accustomed to it?
No, because the race, how the race shape is, the numbers doesn't correspond with the post position.
Right.
You tend to rely on the announcer a little more to give you some idea. And they're very good, very descriptive, I think. A lot more descriptive than some of our guys are. I mean, we've got a few that I think are good. Gulfstream is particularly good.
Yeah, PILO, we've had him on the show.
But others can be boring but these guys tend, because they're dealing with such big fields, they at times, there's the four and 5 horse fields too.
Mm-hmm.
But with these kind of races, you're going to get a decent sized field, and you really do need to be able to follow and when your horse is moving, hopefully get the announcers giving you a call, because I'd sit there at times in some of the races and they're not even calling the horse that's now making coming up, and at the end they go, "Oh, he won," and it's like, yeah. But these guys tend to find them right away.
Yeah, for me, watching the horse racing at home, I can follow the horses and I can tell who's who, but there I had no clue what was going on. So I clearly you have to rely on the announcers a little bit more, and obviously the payouts are a little bit more handsome, at least when you get big fields and long shots coming in. And well, outside of I'd say the one race you had a big favorite. So let's get back to yesterday. So recap race one. We both had the winner in the 6 horse, but I would say Palace Pier. The oddity was the person who didn't have Palace Pier as the winner.
Yeah, to me, he was just such an outstanding horse that it really be hard to pass on him. Mm-hmm. And he performed like a true champ. I mean, he's won one bad race in his career, and he threw a shoe in that race, and he probably would have won that one too.
I feel like I threw a shoe in the other races we handicapped.
Yeah, well, some of ours did. Of course, we couldn't pick the next two, and Sir Buster ran a nice race at a big price. So if you had the Omni on that one, you did pretty good.
Yeah, you had also Lope E. Fernandez come in second, and I was deciding between that horse and Order of Australia, and I went with Order of Australia because I was odds influenced. I simplified things today, and I didn't allow myself to be odds influenced today. So I don't know what that means.
When we get to another race, I think the odds did give you some idea who the public and they were backing. Mm-hmm. And I think that it was actually a key to that race.
The second race, the Coventry Stakes.
I want to point out, just to give you some idea, in the pool in the States on the Omni Swinger was $1.2 million for the first race.
Oh, that's pretty big.
So, and we're in the win place pools were over $1 million, and the Quinella pool was $1.3 million.
Those are some fat pools.
There's some nice, if you can get some long shots here, you're going to get some nice prices.
Well, race 2 definitely was a long shot. Berkshire Shadow came in, paid $24.70. The trifecta paid $15,267.90. I wish we gave that one out. We could just wrap it up and say,
I didn't have any of those horses. And going back and looking at Berkshire Shadow, I really missed his his last performance, because he did perform very well. And I went back and replayed the video on that one. And yeah, he should have been in one of my considerations. The other two would have been a bit of a stretch for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to reflect back yet. I'll do that when we're done today. Go back and see what I missed, and then see if I can incorporate some of that going forward. But I feel like I simplified things today instead of trying. Yesterday, I was trying to be really kind of, pull out every single angle, handicap and cap, and probably paralysis by analysis. And then again, maybe it's just some long shots came in today, and it's one of those days where you couldn't pick it right if you tried. The third race, which was the King's Stand, Oxteed came in and won. And it's a horse neither one of us had, the 8 horse, but apparently it was one of the favorites. I think it went off as a second favorite, 7-2.
The odds gave us a hint that there was a lot of support for that horse, because it did drop pretty substantially. And really the other key there, I thought, was in the commentary talked about him dropping from a 6 furlongs races, which he had done the last 6 times, and going to a 5 furlong race. They just felt that he had a better chance at 5, and they won 6s with this horse. So it's not like it's not an unknown quantity. And that was, I think, the key. I think because when it kicked in at the end, it looked like a nice winner.
Yeah,
and I give credit to Extravagant Kid. He ran a nice race too.
Well, that swinger that you're talking about, if you had the 1 horse and the 3 horse for the $1 Omni Swinger, you got paid $100.40. So that's not bad.
That is a nice price for a buck.
Yeah, it's a beautiful for a buck. I showed me the stock market where you get $1 to 100. It doesn't happen that often. Sure as hell doesn't happen at any banks, for sure. So race 4 was our final one that we did together, the St. James Palace, the 11 horse. You could have put our tickets together and walked away with an exacta here. The Poetic Flair, I think it was my 3rd pick, and then Lucky Vega, I think was your 3rd pick too. So if you had third pick, the power of 3, if you're doing the numerology stuff.
Yeah, Poetic Fair looked really nice in the paddock, and got positive comments. My concern with him was the amount of racing that he'd done in a 45-day span.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe this would be too much, but this was run on the Old Mile, which has a turn. And when he turned for home and kicked clear, there was nobody getting him.
Speaking of which, I was watching the races on my phone, right? Because I had to take my son somewhere real quick, and they didn't. It said off on the app that I use, so I was watching it, and they were turning, and I was like, "Wait a minute, there's not supposed to be many turns here." And then I noticed it was a different track because they were running some different, I don't know, teletrack stream or something through my app. And what was funny about that is earlier in the day, I had the headphones on while I was doing my work for today, and I was listening to the races so I could watch them as they came up and concentrate on my work until then. And then the announcer, so I was thinking the announcers, 2 folks like you and me making their picks, and I didn't have them on the screen, so I had no idea like what kind of set they were on or anything like that. And then I heard a rooster crackling in the background. I was thinking, all right, Tom had his cat. My dog came into the room yesterday but didn't make it on camera, and now a rooster. So maybe we should add a rooster to our podcast, Tom.
I think that may help. I've got one. I've got a neighbor with one, but I don't think you'll hear it here.
No, well, maybe we ought to pull him in the room with the cat and see how that, and the poodle, see how that all plays
out.
The
poodle's here too, so
that would be. But it just made me laugh because, like I said, I wasn't watching, and then I hear like cock-a-doodle-doo in the back, and I was like, "Wait a minute, what?" Then I look at it; it's just a guy sitting on his couch. I'm like, "All right, that's a little bit different." So that was another observation that I had. We do a little bit of job with our track announcers and their sets, at least the on-here host people. Mm-hmm. So let's get started with today's picks. I mean, not today's picks, Wednesday's picks, day 2.
Yeah, we're moving along
of the Royal Ascot, and hopefully. For me, at least, Tom is an international veteran. For me, hopefully, much like international horses that ship over here, I'll be better in my second time around on an international track than I was my first.
And hopefully we get to see some of these horses that we saw today in the Breeders' Cup.
That would be nice too.
Yeah, because there was some pretty impressive wins, especially Alice Pier.
And I'll be a little bit more prepared for that next time around than I would normally be. So I don't know that I'll ever be anywhere near your level, Tom, in terms of being ready with international horses, but I will try.
You do your best.
Yeah, I will be the 1A entry. That's but you'll be the entry that earned the 5-2 odds. I'll be the one that's benefiting from them.
Yeah, and if you get a few nice payoffs here or there, it certainly will make your day.
Yeah, well, let's see if we can get some payoffs tomorrow. Like I said, I simplified things, but they get things kicking off in the first race, a 5-furlong turf race, and for a strange reason, they all do bunch up, like you said, instead of moving apart. But I guess that goes back to what Mike Smith said when they're pack animals and they like to be in a pack versus on their own. And this is a big field. What is it, like 22 horses?
22 starters here.
Mm-hmm. Much like the
frankly,
Kentucky
this
Derby.
is the race Coffee Maker should have run in.
Mm-hmm. Probably female horses.
She was nowhere to be found.
Yeah. Well, she looked like she was in it in the beginning, but got overwhelmed at the end for sure.
Yeah, no, she just got completely out of that race. This is the race that personally I would have entered her in, but because he's got Twilight Gleaming, who looks very nice horse in here, I could understand not wanting to run the two of them against each other.
Probably not a good idea, but maybe they would finish first and second. It's better than out of the money altogether. So let's get cracking right away, Tom. Who are your selections and what do you expect to see here? More of the same, like a little bit of closing action again?
I would be very surprised if we don't see closing action, but in the way some of these horses have run, they've been close or right near the pace. And one of the other observations we saw today at the race at Royal Ascot was the outside and the inside horses were doing better than the ones that had the draws that were in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Well, you did mention in some respects it does more accurately line up with these straight races with our quarter horse racing.
Yeah, well, but I think we saw a pretty distinct bias at times, especially I thought the outside. The inside won the first race, where the outside won the second race. So we do have to pay attention to the draws on some of these horses because that may affect their running style, and also are they going to be, especially in a 22 horse field, are they going to be able to get to the place where they need to be able to kick home? And I took number 15, Nifadora, is my top choice. Her first start, she dwelt at the gate. She came up on the leaders and then backed out. And you're going to go like, okay, this is not going to be a great horse. Second race out, she made the running, right the pace, came on, and looked like a winner all the way to the end. And she really ran a nice race. And I would really be surprised if she doesn't repeat that performance. Now, if she misbehaves at the gate again, well, then, yeah, forget it. But this, I think that was just a one-off green first start type of thing. Remember, we're dealing with 2-year-olds, so anything can happen.
Terrible twos, yes, indeed. Yeah. Well, if you think about it, in race 2, it was the terrible twos, and that's the one that provided that $15,000 trifecta. So maybe this is a random number generator race.
You had that twice, right?
I'm retiring on that one. I had the retire pool.
My next choice is number 22, Yet. I think she's going to go here. She's also put into another race a couple of days later, but I think they're going to put her in here. She at Dundalk, which is the only all-weather track in Ireland, her and Okanagan River battled it out. And everybody else it wasn't even close. And these two ran really nice races. I'm taking Yet over Okanagan River, and I didn't put her in because I just think she ran a really quality race for a 2-year-old. And where she had to really extend herself. And let's face it, there's an Aidan O'Brien. This is a very good horse, and could be one of his better 2-year-olds. My next choice is an interesting one because initially I didn't think much of it, and then I went back and watched the race, and I'm going, ooh, this one may have something. And that's number 1, Artos. This is George Arnold is the trainer. And of course, we should be all familiar with him. He races in the States. This horse first out at Keeneland, ran a nice second on a dirt track, even though the breeding says maybe a little more turf. And the second running out, it won by a neck on a 5.5 furlong race at Churchill Downs. And I was impressed with that race. And I watched it again just because. And she cost $85,000. And she's going to like the kind of track that she's going to get here. Yeah, it won't be a turn, but she's going to be making some running. And then I thought the most interesting thing about this, and the reason why I have her in here, is Frankie Dettori is riding. Mm-hmm. He probably had his choices of other horses to ride in this race. Seems so he picked this one. Mm-hmm. And I think that tells me a lot right there, because he's never ridden the horse before. But he obviously thinks there's something here. And I think George Arnold, by making the move to bring the horse over to Royal Ascot, also thinks they've got something special. Yeah. So I think you got to. That's one to look for. You're going to get a price on that one. I would be very surprised. I mean, yeah, there's going to be some bet down because of Dettori on the horse, but I think you got to watch that one.
She is 7-1 in the morning line.
Yeah, and I picked one more. I picked number 19, Twilight Gleaming. That's the Wesley Ward horse. Good second on the dirt, first out at Keeneland. She was a little slow away from the gate. So she needed to get going, and she didn't initially, but then she was fine, and she needed that race. I think it gave her some experience, and then when she went on the turf at Belmont, she finished strongly and won that race. And she's going to be one of the favorites in this race. And I think her draw is good, that she'll be able to come on and win this, has a chance to win it. This is a tough race. I mean, because you're dealing with so many unknowns, and I think we're going to see some price, may see a price in here. And certainly if you want to play the swinger, or you want to play something, you can mix it up a little bit, and you never know what you'll get.
Yeah. I do like, for me, I like the 19 Twilight Gleaming. Did come out, run a huge race first time out on the turf. Was like the 3-5 favorite in both races. So clearly bettors think that this horse is some of quality. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen that kind of backing in the first two. And in the last race, in the field of 6, won by 7.5 and geared down. Could have probably extended more. So I think you're going to see a little bit more out of Twilight Gleaming. And there's that Wesley Ward, John Velasquez combination that's hit at an insane 47%. My second pick is the 18 horse, which is going to have the most outside post. I didn't know that until now, but you had mentioned that outside is could play out well. This horse ran better fractions last time out, despite getting a soft track. So I would think that you're going to see the horse continue to improve. Again, I just broke everything down a little bit more basically. Went with numbers, went with some more traditional things. Number 2 is my third pick, and that is Beautiful Sunshine. It's a horse that last time out won by 4 lengths, and it was one of the higher races in terms of race quality, like the quality scored of the race. So I think I'm a big fan of horses that run away. Finished second in her debut against Desert Dreamer, which is another horse that'll probably get some play in this race. Yeah. But I feel like she's improving more than Desert Dreamer has. And then I think you're going to see her run a really good race here. And then finally, number 15, you and I agree. That's my fourth pick, Nymphodoria. Is this a horse that looks like it's also on the upswing in terms of its performance, and one of those proverbial I'm getting better horses. So that's what you want to see, horses that are improving in their form heading into a race.
Especially in 2-year-olds.
Especially in 2-year-olds. But then again, those horses can look like champions one day, and then the next day they're completely different.
Fools out of us very quickly.
Yeah, indeed, for sure. And then we're going to move on to race number 2. I put all this work in here in the morning in preparation to get ready for these things. And I create these banners so we know what race we're on. And I forgot to do them yesterday, and I'm doing them now. So sometimes, when you're old as I am, the stuff up here doesn't click the way you want it to. So this is a much longer race. All right. So Tom, here's the question. Are we going with Queen's Vase or Vase? Which one is
Queen's
it?
Vase.
Queen's Vase. All right. So we'll do the sophisticated way. Queen's Vase. This is 1.75 miles on turf. This is a long one. So I imagine if they come out slow for 5 furlongs, they're just going to walk out of the stalls, as they call them over there.
And and for the first 3 furlongs, they'll just be loping along. And there's, unless somebody decides to go take the lead and just run away, you're going to see a very slow first couple of fractions.
So if anyone wanted to do that, get out and run, which one do you think it's going to be?
I really couldn't pick one out of this bunch. I think they're all pretty evenly matched in terms of of that pace, and I think the way this again is is going to be. I think it's a jock seat race. Mm-hmm. It's really a tough bunch. I really had struggles to pick a winner in here, and pace wise, I think is going to be honest, but I think it's going to be slow.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's 15 horses that have a chance to be slow or fast.
Yeah.
So which one do you think is going to be the fastest to the finish line?
I'm picking number 15, Zinc White. Mm-hmm. He was not much of a 2-year-old, but as a 3-year-old, he's 2 for 2. And he's faced shorter fields, so this will be a bit of a challenge for him in terms of this. I like the fact that the trainer is better with the younger horses than he is with the older horses. And so that sort of fits into this wheelhouse. And with his 3-year-olds, turf horses this year, he sent out 31 horses. He's have 11 winners, and that's a strike week of 24%.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So
and his last 2 races haven't been close.
Yeah, so that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this goes into that improving horse. I think the draw of 11 is fine, and I think you're going to get a good effort out of this horse again. And I think as a 2-year-old it stunk, and as a 3-year-old it's figured out the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, it certainly looks like that in the first 2 races. Winning by 3 3/4 and 7.5 made some easy work of those fields.
Yeah, the bigger question is, can it stay this distance? And I think it can. Mm-hmm. I picked number 14, Wordsworth, is my number 2 selection. It took 2 tries to win a maiden. It's by Galileo, so that's not unusual. He's raced only in Ireland, but he's put up good efforts every single race.
Yeah, been well bet too.
Yeah, and well bet. Yeah, they've liked it. He is a full brother to a group winner in Kew Gardens, and this horse won from 1 mile to 1.25 miles. So a little farther this race, but should figure right there. Ryan Moore has the mount. That's always positive. Now there is one caveat I'm going to throw in here. This horse may get scratched and moved to the King Edward on Saturday. So there's a possibility this horse will not be going. Mm-hmm. My next choice was number 6. That's Kimara. 2 maiden runs. Yeah, this is going to be a long shot, but you got to look at the connections, and you got to think they must have a chance. He's bred for distance. The mare won at 1.5 miles. I just got a sneaking suspicion. This is a Godolphin horse, Charlie Appleby, and William Buick riding. That's not a bad combination.
No, and the last race was very impressive too. 6 length win in an 11-horse field, and I'm big on that recent form angle.
Yeah, good. That, and I think more importantly, he's bred to be a stayer. He's bred for these distances, and I think that could play very well. And let's face it, Godolphin is not a bad little operation.
Not bad, no. So that's it for you? 15,
Yeah, that's enough.
14 and 6, that's enough?
I have to say that race was my toughest race.
Yeah.
To really separate the horses. And so I just kind of played the ones that I think are in form. And yeah, the last one is probably a little bit of a stretch, but with those connections and the fact that his dam likes won at longer distances, I figured I'll throw it in there because I think it has a chance. But it's a tough race, especially when these 3-year-olds are, the distance is it's like playing the Kentucky Derby. You got 20 horses and most of them have never been that far.
No, they haven't.
So you're trying to pick out a winner based on how you think the race is going to be won, but also can they get the distance?
Mm-hmm. More factors. So for me, I agree with you on the 14, but might scratch. So I think this is a horse that's had 3 quality races and 3 starts. I think the last time out just lost by a neck.
Yeah.
It's extending a little bit. So maybe that distance could be enough to get it done. I have the number 7. I got a little bit of a long shot. Kyprios in there. I find these cycle horses, like on-off horses. They run a good race, they run a bad race. They run a good race, they run a bad race. And then they run a good race. And for some reason, some horses follow that cycle. Well, this horse, out of the gate, first race, won, going 3/4 of a length at 1 1/16. Next time out at 1 1/4, wasn't even involved. Next time out at 1 1/4 again, won by 1.5 lengths. Next time out, run 1 7/16, fourth by 10 lengths. So on, off, on, off. That means this one's going to be on. And at the odds of 12-1, I suspect that it'll probably be off that last race, fourth by 10 lengths. It'll be more than 12-1 by the time they leave the stall. I have number 1 as my third pick, and that is the name is Arturo Toscani. This is a horse that is another on-off horse. Last time,
he's named for an Italian conductor. Who many moons when they actually ran on TV, ran symphony. He was the NBC Symphony Orchestra conductor.
Well, I'm not that cultured. But this is his 3rd time off a layoff. Last time out, he ran in the highest graded rate. Well, not the highest graded, but the score of the race, the highest quality race of all the horses in the field. Ran a decent second, 1 3/4. So I think you could see some improvement with the additional length. I suspect it's another horse that's probably going to have its odds higher than what it's in the morning line at 7-1, coming off. Well, maybe not. It's tough to say. And then I agree with you on the 6 horse. So maybe the 6 horse ain't as long a shot as we think he is. Like I said, it's our day 2 of the international horse for me, and we're going to be much better around this time.
Well, we're certainly looking for that $15,000 trifecta.
Well, if we land one of those, then I don't know what to say. People should buy you and I pizza for eternity if that's what you like. So we're going to go to race 3. This is the Duke of Cambridge race. This is a mile, and the field starts to shorten up a little bit in terms of the number of horses in these next 2 races. I think this one has 12 starters or something like that. 13.
Yeah, well, 13 are right now possible starters. I think you're right. There may be one taken out of here.
Mm-hmm. So this is a mile. Is this one of the straight miles? This is a turning mile. I don't know.
Yeah, if it says old mile, that means it's on the turn, and if it does not say that, then it's the straight mile.
All right. So this is not an old mile. This is a new mile. Are they both at least a mile?
So to speak.
Yeah. So all right. So let's take a look at this and see what Tom likes for race number 3 on the new mile for the Duke of Cambridge Stakes.
My top choice is number 6, Double or Bubble. It's got 4 runs in her career. She's won 3 of them, got a second in the other one. Has faced lesser company and at shorter distances. This is a big step up. There's no question about it. But I think based on her breeding, her dam's offspring have all won at a mile or greater distances. So actually, this one has sort of been racing these lesser races, or shorter races, I should say, and done very well. But based on what the offspring have done, so I think you could see this horse easily getting the mile, lightly raced, and it's I think you're gonna get some decent odds of this horse.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the trainer numbers. Chris Wall is one of these trainers who, in the last 14 days, he's sent out 12 starters and he has 4 wins. So you follow in that line. He's got horses that are ready to run, and if the timing is good, and it appears to be with him, that this one could be a real sneaker. Because my next choice is the favorite, and that's Lady Bowthorpe. She ran against a horse by the name of Palace Pier last time out.
Mm-hmm. You saw that horse?
Mare facing she gets weight allowance, but mare facing one of probably the best miler, if not one of the best horses in the world. And she ran a very credible race, and she tried. That's where I'm a little concerned. How much did that race take out of her? We know if you're going to go by form of the race, well, Palace Pier just won again. So that would indicate that pretty good chance that she's got a great chance of winning. You're not going to get big odds on this one.
No, 9-5 morning line. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you'll be lucky 4-5 would be my guess. She tried, and she did try, and she ran a really nice race. And she's run some good races. I mean, she beat Queen Power, who's in this race in the past by a head. So, I mean, she's right there. If she's ready and that race didn't take a lot out of her, she should be primed for another good effort.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 8 is my third choice, and that's Indy Angel. This is the team of Frankie Dettori and John Gosden, and she's a really nice, useful runner. She's run only at 7 furlongs or a mile, lower levels, but she's done really well at those levels. And she's used a Group 2 race as a prep for this race. And yes, she has lost to Lady Bowthorpe, but so a few others in this race. Mm-hmm. I think this is an opportunity to get some black type. Looking at the breeding side of things on this horse, and I think that's why they put her in here. And I do think she's got a chance.
All right, for me, when I did it, the favorite popped out as the top horse for me. But then I kind of looked through things again, and I feel like the favorite and the second favorite have some question marks. Well, they all do, right? But again, I'm big on form. So I felt like the 1, the 2, and the 3, there wasn't a whole lot separating them. And I went with Queen Power on top. Second time off a layoff, came out. Well, the first one missed by a head. Second race off a layoff, last time out. Short field, I know only 5 horses, but smoked the field by 8 in. Again, the highest rated race that any of these horses have run in. I don't know anything about the different tracks over there, so I got to rely a little bit on the rating system. So she did run in the highest rated race and smoked the field. Then I have number 2, the Lady Bowthorpe. It's a horse that has done well. The only thing that would concern me a little bit is the distance. Ran at the distance 8 times with only 1 win, 3 seconds, and off the board half the time. I'd like to see a horse win more than 1 out of 8, 12.5%, if I'm going to get 9-5 odds, right? So,
but again, if you're running against Palace Pier, you're probably going to be up win against it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that horse was impressive, and I think because of how impressive he was in the first race, you're right. I think that draws money to this horse because people are going to say, "Look at how well she did in that race." And then I have the 1 horse, Champers Elysis. As my third pick. Horse last year, this is the proverbial gambler's fallacy horse. Last year won 4 out of 5 races. This year is 0 for 2. But I feel like looking at the numbers last time out, the fractions improved a little bit. So if you're looking a little bit underneath the hood, I think you see some improvement there. I know you said that the third race off a layoff and all that stuff doesn't mean much over there. But I'm going to rely on what works for me. And looking at that, the other 2 times the horse ran a 3-race cycle. The 3rd race was an impressive race. So hopefully the one can follow through on that. And finally, I'm putting it out with number 11, Parents' Prayer. So my picks are 3, 2, 1, and 11. And hopefully I hit a long shot in there and have an opportunity to make some money. What do you think, Tom? You're going to laugh at me like Jose?
No, I think you got a chance. They're not my choices, except for the one.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the great thing about having an opinion about horse racing is everybody has an opinion, and it doesn't mean they're right or wrong.
Well, until the race is official.
Until it's official and the prices are put up there, and you go, "Yep, I blew that one big time."
Even when they're official, sometimes later on you find out they had an ointment on them. So
yeah, or something less than desirable.
Yeah, for sure. So then that brings us to our last race for the day, because tomorrow's the day that they have the 65,000 Group 1, right? Or is that Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to go with race number 4. And this is the Prince of Wales's Stakes, Grade 1. Now, just from I did not know if something ended with S and was possessive that you had to add another S. But does that make it plural? I don't know. Is there a lot of Princes of Wales?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But in any case,
there have been, of course, because that's the title that the current one of the Princess Diana's son has now.
Mm-hmm. The only one I'm familiar with, I know, is Harry, and what's the other one? Is the other one is Charles too? I don't know.
No,
but I know Charles is the one. I know who Charles is, but I forget the other one because Harry's gobbling up all the TV time, right? Him and his wife Meghan. You know more about those than any other royals, and I don't know. Are they even royal anymore? I don't know if they've been stripped of their titles.
I guess not. I don't know. I don't really particularly care either.
Yeah, I don't follow it, but somehow it's always in my MSN feed. I don't know why that is. It's like it must be important to somebody.
Yeah.
So how do you see this 1.25-mile turf race? This is the smallest field that we've tried to conquer in the last 3 days.
This may be the smallest field, but this is a lot of quality in here.
Mm-hmm.
And this race is also, we should point out, is for 4-year-olds and up.
Mm-hmm.
So top choice is pretty easy. It's number 7, Love.
Mm-hmm.
She's done really nothing wrong. She can handle that layoff. Without any problem, she'll be primed for a really good effort in this race. And she is targeting the Arc in October. So these are just prep races. I mean, she's won on both surfaces, all weather and turf. She used a Group 2 race before, and I mean, she's just something else and very special horse. She wins at this level pretty consistently, and I would be shocked if she got beat here. But that being said,
you're going to be shocked.
No, because I'm picking the Breeders' Cup winner over Rushing Fall last time, which was Audria. And number 6 horse, she's won in England, she's won in France, she won the Breeders' Cup. That's not too bad. But she hasn't run against Love, so we'll see how that goes. She had a really good 4-year-old, and it'll be interesting to see how she performs as a 5-year-old. We do have a break between the Breeders' Cup and this race. Love's coming off a break too, and so they're a little concerned there, but both have handled the breaks before, and these are older fillies and mares, and they are certainly ready to roll, so to speak. Armory is my 3rd choice. That's the number 1. That's an Aidan O'Brien trainee. He's doing his best racing now than he did he was a useful 3-year-old, not such, but as a 4-year-old, he seems to be more into that race. He used a race at Chester as a prep in a Group 2, so small field, only 4 horses, but he tracked them, moved when he had to move, and drew clear.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking he should be able to make a good account of himself in this race too. But
I hope he makes a good account of himself because I put him on top because he did run in the highest quality race of any of these horses last time out and smashed the field, winning by 3, like you said, made pretty easy work of the field, and looks to me like a horse that's on the upswing. And of the 3 favorites, probably provides the most value. The number 7 horse is my second pick, Love. Yeah, the horse has absolutely demolished the horses that it raced against the last 3 times out, but has not raced since August of last year. It did win last time off. It had a big break from October to June, made pretty easy work of the field when it came back. So clearly this is the horse to beat. But after watching the races today, all the horses to beat got beat. So except for the first one.
Except for the first one, yeah.
Yes. And if Love is in that quality of a field, having her in second, so not that big of a deal. I'll still be able to capture a ticket with it. And I'll put her on top of my exactas and trifectas along with the 1 horse. I do have the 3 horse Lord Nation as my third pick. It's another horse that looks really solid on paper, going to be hard to beat, but I feel like it's done almost too much traveling. Winning from Britain to the Breeders' Cup in Kentucky, and then from the Breeders' Cup in Kentucky off to Dubai, now back to Britain. And we've seen this sometimes with horses that I've seen it a lot of times, horses that look great on paper, put in a lot of miles flying around the globe, and then they come and they need a race to kind of readjust. I'm thinking Lord North might need a race. And then, of course, we have to have our long shots in this race. So it's only a 7-horse field. So I went with number 5, Sangarius. Last time out, to the top pick, Amory, finished second by 3 lengths. Wasn't really in contention in that race at all. But I'm looking back at its previous second starts off a break and won both of them. So showed major improvement from the first race to the second race. I'm expecting Sangarius at 30-1 to show some much improved form in race number 2 and probably go off at like 50-1. So maybe that'll be our $100 winner this week. I'm hoping.
We'll cross our fingers.
Yeah. So that wraps up our picks for day 2. Tom, what do you think? We're gonna have better luck this time?
Let's real quick mention the other races that are in here. The 3 other races, just because they'll be in here. I'm not going to. You guys can look up what my picks are. Mm-hmm. But we have 33 starters in the Royal Hunt Cup.
Please.
So that'll be interesting. And the Windsor Castle has 28 starters.
Uh-huh.
And then in the Kensington Palace, there's only a mere 18 starters. So if somebody's looking for some prices and some value, take a look at some of those races because they could be very interesting.
Well, you took a look at them. And of course, like we did yesterday, we'll post Tom's picks and Rich's ranks on the website at horseracingradar.com. Make sure you head over there. Make sure if you like what you saw today or any day, you go down there and you click that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified when we come on. Hopefully, I had a couple comments that people, for whatever reason, were having some difficulty viewing it on Facebook. I don't know why that is. I'm not technically savvy with that stuff. I just press the buttons I'm supposed to press.
Go to YouTube instead.
Yeah, it is live on YouTube, so you can go to YouTube if you and
you'll
find us there.
Right off the Horse Racing Radar's website. You can pick it up right there and watch.
Yes, because we'll have the recorded version and a link to the video. Although yesterday, and I don't know why this is either, when I try to click on it from my phone, it said it's restricted. So, and then I looked, it should be restricted. So technology, maybe they knew what was coming on day 1 and didn't want people to see what we were going to pick.
Yeah, I didn't want to see our awful picks on the first day.
Me either. I'm thank God there's day number 2. So that wraps it up.
Number 2.
That wraps it up for day number 2. I don't know if I saw the cat today.
The dog actually made an appearance today.
The dog made an appearance. Mm-hmm. I didn't see the dog, but I must have been reading and looking up or down at the moment. So the dog made an appearance. So maybe the dog will be the good luck charm. Mine didn't make it into the room today. So anyway, we wish you luck tomorrow and at your track today. We'll be back, Tom and I, tomorrow, same time, 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central, on YouTube, on Facebook. But Tom will be at a different location, so I don't know if we'll have the poodle or the cat.
Neither.
All right,
And there's
fantastic.
actually 3 cats, so
We've only seen one so
we've
far.
only seen one so far.
Yeah.
So we'll be back here on Thursday to look at when we do Fridays, and maybe we'll get an appearance by some critter.
Well, I'll bring mine and put it right behind me by Thursday. Maybe
Perfect.
bring us some good luck. All right. Until then, everybody, good luck at the races.